So I guess I'll wait for a little bit, see if anybody joins in. I have a few things I need to cover. Um, which will be made clear in a little bit. Hello, everybody, or anybody. I have a few issues I need to resolve, get off my chest, um, with others and everything, and I'm only going to do this biblically. So let's start with, let me bring up another window. What does the Bible say about conflict resolution? Now, this is, of course, you can see the website. I will bring it up into chat so anybody can read it on their own afterwards if they come in late. Okay. Question: what does the Bible say about conflict resolution? Answer: conflict resolution in the body of Christ is crucial for several reasons. Avoidance of conflict with no effort to resolve it postpones a proper response, exacerbates the problem because conflicts that are allowed to fester unaddressed will always increase and have negative effects on relationships within the body. The goal of conflict resolution is unity, and unity in the church poses a threat to the devil, who will use every opportunity to take advantage of unresolved issues, especially those involving anger, bitterness, self pity, and envy. These emotions are involved in most church conflicts. Scripture tells us that we're to let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and slander be put away from us, along with all malice. See what Ephesians 4:31 says. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and slander be put away from you, along with all malice. Failure to obey this command results in division in the body of Christ and grief to the Holy Spirit. We're also told not to allow a root of bitterness to spring up among us, leading to trouble and defilement. And anybody that knows me knows I'm a King James person, but God Answers obviously is using the ESV. Okay, clearly a biblical method of conflict resolution is needed. So let me check here. Nope, nobody. The New Testament has multiple commands to believers that are demonstrative of living at peace with one another. We are repeatedly instructed to love one another. See? And then in Romans, to live in peace and harmony with one another. Romans again. And then in Hebrews. to settle our differences among ourselves, 2 Corinthians. To be patient, kind, and tender-hearted toward one another, to consider others before ourselves, to, to bear one another's burdens, and rejoice in the truth. Conflict in the antithesis of Christian behavior is outlined in Scripture. There are many times when, despite all efforts to reconcile, various issues prevent us from resolving conflict in the church. There are two places in the New Testament that clearly and unambiguously, address conflict resolution where sin is involved. In Matthew 18:15 through 17, Jesus gives the steps of dealing with a sinning brother. According to this passage, in the event of conflict involving overt sin, we are to address it one-on-one first. Then, if it's still unresolved, it should be taken to a small group, and finally, before the whole church, if the problem still remains. Let's see what Matthew says. Now, pay close attention to the last sentence. And if he refuses to listen, even to the church, let him be to you as a Gentile and a tax collector. The other passage where this is addressed explicitly is Luke 17. Pay attention to yourselves. If your brother sins, rebuke him. If he repents, forgive him. If he sins against you 7 times in the day and turns to you 7 times saying, I repent, you must forgive him. An essential part of conflict resolution is forgiveness. Any kind of disciplinary procedure should always have restoration of the sinning person as the ultimate goal. Read that again. An essential part of conflict resolution is forgiveness. Any kind of disciplinary procedure should always have a restoration of the sinning person as the ultimate goal. Sometimes conflict has to do with style preference or personality clashes more so than it has to do with sin per se. In such cases, we do well to check our own motives and remember to do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather in humility, value others above ourselves, not looking for your own interests, but each of you to the interest of the others. If we do have a genuine disagreement with someone over stylistic preferences, the best way to accomplish certain ministry goal, the church budget, how church service should flow, etc., we should engage in discussion and come to a mutual agreement. Paul pleads for whatever. Right there. That's my whatever. To be of the same mind in the Lord, and for others to help them. We must humble ourselves and truly listen to one another, striving for peace within the body. We should also seek God's wisdom and direction. It is true that sometimes it is best to part ways in recognition that God has different calls in our lives, but we should do our best to never divide in anger. Certain people are watching this. What does that say? And what are you doing? You're dividing in anger. And then you're getting angry at me for trying to mend. The reason conflict resolution is so difficult is that we're hesitant to place ourselves in uncomfortable situations. We're also frequently unwilling to humble ourselves enough to admit that we might be wrong or to do what it might take to make amends if we are wrong. Those who do conflict resolution best are often those who would prefer not to confront others about their sin, but still do so out of obedience to God. If the matter is relatively minor, it may be that the best thing to do is to practice forbearance and overlook the offense. If it cannot be overlooked, one must pursue reconciliation. This is such an important issue to God that peace with Him and peace with others is entwined. Notice what Matthew 5:23 and 24 says, especially at the end. First be reconciled to your brother, and then come offer your gift. So, with that, let's see. I am going to add a different bookmark. First, let me see which one that's on. Okay. Now, how should conflict in the church be handled? I will now post the link for this one. Anybody is more than welcome to read. Okay, how should conflict in the church be handled? There are many areas of a church where conflict can develop. However, most of them tend to fall under one of three categories: conflict due to blatant sin among believers, conflict with leadership, conflict between believers. Now, believers who blatantly sin pose a conflict for the church as described in 1 Corinthians 5. The church that does not deal with sin among its members will open the door to more problems. The church is not called to be judgmental of unbelievers, but the church is expected to confront and restore believers who are unrepentant of sin, such as those listed in 1 Corinthians 5:11. Such individuals are not to be accepted by the church until they are willing to repent. Matthew 18:15-17 provides a concise procedure for the confrontation and restoration of a believer. Confrontation should be done carefully, meekly, and with the goal of restoration. Churches that lovingly discipline sinners or sinning individuals will curtail a great deal of conflict in the church. Anybody wish to understand that? At times, believers might not be content with the direction or actions of church leaders. This was the case in the early history of the church, Acts 6:1-7. Complaints about the lack of care of a certain group in the church were taken up with the leaders. This was remedied and the church grew, Acts 6:7. The early church used conflict to improve the ministry. However, when churches do not have a clear process for dealing with such concerns, people tend to create their own platforms. Individuals may begin polling others in the church, get involved in gossip, or even develop a block of concerned people. Leadership can help avoid this by leading like selfless, loving shepherds that are examples of servants rather than ones that lord over others. 1 Peter 5:1-3. Those who are frustrated should respect the leaders, be slow to accuse them, and speak the truth lovingly to them, not to others about them. On those occasions when it appears the leader is not responding to the concern, an individual should follow the pattern set down in Matthew 18:15-17. Again, seems to be a recurring advice from the Bible there, huh? To ensure that there is no confusion as to where each stands. The Bible warns that people in the church may have difficulties with conflict. Some conflict is due to pride and selfishness. Some conflicts come about because of the offenses that have not been forgiven. God has told us to press toward peace, as in Romans and Colossians there. It is the responsibility of each believer to resolve a conflict. Some basic steps towards resolution include the following. Develop the proper heart attitude. Meek, Galatians 6:1. Humble, James 4:10. Forgiving, Ephesians 4:31-32. Patient, James 1:19-20. Number 2, evaluate your part in the conflict. Matthew 7:1-5. Removing the log from your own eye first is necessary before helping others. You guys get that, right? I mean, biblically speaking, not a single one of us is without sin. So none of us have the right to judge anybody else for their sin. Number 3, go to the individual, not others. See that? Not others, to voice your concern. This is best done in love and not just something off your chest. Accusing the person tends to encourage defensiveness. Therefore, attack the problem rather than the person. This gives the person a better opportunity to clarify the situation or to seek forgiveness for the offense. Number 4, if the first attempt does not accomplish the needed results, continue with another person or persons that can help with mediation. Matthew 18:16. Remember that your goal is not to win an argument. Remember that? Remember, your goal is not to win an argument. It is to win your fellow believer to reconciliation. Therefore, choose people who can help you resolve the conflict. Conflict is best handled when individuals prayerfully and humbly focus on loving others with the intent of restoring relationships. Most issues of conflict should be manageable if the above biblical principles are followed. However, there are times when specific outside counsel may help. We recommend utilizing resources such as Peacemaker Ministries. Haven't checked that out. Basically, I've been just basically doing Google searches. So that's number 2. How should conflict in the church be handled? Number 3. Here's why. Why refusing to resolve conflict hinders your prayer. Okay? Let's say you're saved, you're praying, but you have conflict with somebody else. What's that doing to your prayers? Are your prayers even being heard? Well, let's see. Some sins are more passive than active. We may call these sins of omission rather than sins of commission, because they are all about what we don't do. These sins involve neglecting and sometimes, let me pause for a second and I'll get this page posted up. There we go. Okay, where was I? These sins involve neglecting and sometimes refusing to do what is right rather than willingly do what is plainly forbidden. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus gave pointed warnings against areas of neglect that are especially pertinent to this matter of unanswered prayer. Mishandling these warnings severely damages not only our horizontal relationship with others, but also our familial relationship with the Father, and consequently the effectiveness of our prayers. One such area is the delay of conflict resolution. As long as we live on this side of heaven, we will continue to experience conflicts with others, and we will continue to hear God's call to repentance and greater our growth in the midst of conflict. Relational conflict, like everything else God puts in our paths, is used by Him for our good. When responded to with humility, long-suffering, grace, and forgiveness, such conflicts leads to stronger, more Christ-honoring relationships. The transformative grace of God converts that which would weaken human relationships into something that is substantially strengthens them Evil is turned into good, and cursing into blessing. This makes us more like Jesus and equips us better and equips us to be better testimonies to the redemptive power of God in the world that is desperate for grace and peace. The delay of conflict resolution. The Bible is clear. Each of us is a selfless sinner. Get that? Anybody, looking down your nose at somebody else and says you're not a sinner? If you claim to not be a sinner, you are a liar. And I don't want anything to do with the church you're in because you are a liar and you are teaching others to lie. We are all sinners, no exceptions. Because if if anybody could point out one person that is without sin besides Jesus Christ and everything, then it is possible to live without sin. Why did Jesus die on the cross? You can't answer that question because not if you're without sin. There is no reason for the sacrifice of Jesus on the cross. Anyways, therefore, conflict is simply inevitable. Conflict is more than a simple disagreement. Peacemaker Ministries defines it as a difference in opinion or purpose that frustrates someone's goals or desires. Now, conflict, at least one of the people involved, if not both, becomes upset because he fears he may not get what he wants, even if what he wants is simply to have someone else see a particular situation the way he does. James strikes at the heart of it when he writes, "What causes quarrels and what causes fights among you? Is it not this, that your passions are at war within you?" How we handle conflict reveals our heart's true relationship to the gospel. Whether we are the offender or the offended, if we choose to delay the resolving of our conflicts with one another, then we shortchanged ourselves, hindering our own spiritual growth and that of others. To resist or neglect the resolution of conflict, especially between yourself and another Christian, is a small but real rejection of the gospel itself. No wonder it can hinder our prayers. So what can we do about it? Have the sense of urgency. The Bible exhorts us to do everything in our power to resolve conflict ASAP. The clearest scriptural call to this duty is found in Matthew 5:23 and 24. So if you are offering your gift at the altar and there is remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar and go. First be reconciled to your brother and then come offer your gift. Those are radical words. The original Jewish hearers were able to place these words of Jesus into a familiar context. For them, the Lord was referring to an animal sacrifice within the temple. This was a solemn, somber, and deeply meaningful act of worship and trust that lay at the heart of the Old Covenant. For us, This would correspond to our most significant interactions with God as His children, including private worship through personal prayer, as well as corporate worship. But here Jesus is saying there is one good reason to stop right in the middle of it all, because you have other, more important business. Jesus considers conflict resolution among believers as a high priority than our worship of God Himself. He tells us plainly that it is better to interrupt or postpone our worship than to engage in it undergoing the wrong conditions. The passage does not explicitly say that unresolved conflict is the cause for unanswered prayer, but it does say that God is not interested in receiving our worship until we honestly face the wrongs we have committed against one another. While it is possible to argue distinctions between those two, they are distinctions without any real difference. To come before God, aware of unresolved conflict with another Christian, when it is within our power to seek resolution to that conflict, renders our worship false and hypocritical. Unresolved conflict hinders our relationship with God and hinders our prayer. Remember that. So, looks like an echo chamber of myself again. Yeah, no biggie. I still get to say what I need to say. So, let's see. Remove that. And I've been watching a couple people on their channels, and I tried to help resolve conflict and was basically accused of taking sides. That was the reason for me bringing up this video. So I looked up a few things, obviously, and I don't like to see the conflict within the church. See, as Christians, we are all working on the same puzzle out of the same puzzle box, and that puzzle box is the Bible. None of us have all the pieces to the puzzle. And arguing with people, other people within our community about whether or not certain pieces fit here or there or are right or wrong, arguing about it doesn't solve it, doesn't get the puzzle put together. If anybody was to look through my playlist, they would see that I have, let's see, I have pre-tribbers, I have post-tribbers, I have no theistic evolutionists, no flat earthers or anything like that. But, you know, how does Ken Hovind say it? He said it like, eat the meat, toss the bone. Okay. That's pretty much how I choose to do it. Okay. There's a nutritional value to some people's ministries, even though they might pick one thing to argue about, like say pre-trib over post-trib. Okay. If anybody needs to argue about that, then is it worth it? Because arguing any point whatsoever has nothing to do with the salvation of our fellow man or ourselves. So why bother? Why? What does it matter? We're going up to heaven. We're going to get called up to heaven, whether it's before the tribulation or after the tribulation. We're going up to heaven. It doesn't matter. So why bother? So I don't pick and choose those kind of arguments to even engage in. So why? I mean, the arguments that I am referring to, tell you the truth, are really stupid. Okay? Not worth arguing about. And if you have atheists that are sitting there patting you on the back because they're commenting, and then you're turning around and liking what they're commenting because they're bashing the person that you're arguing with, that should be a clear and present danger sign right there. That something that you're saying is wrong because you have Satan himself going, yay, hey, I really like that. I think I'm going to stick around on your side for a little bit. Now, on to the next part. Let's see. Let me bring this back up. No, not that one, not yet. Bring that one up. Okay. Now, Matthew 7. There's another person that should get this. This word work. Work is in the King James Bible 419 times. And if you can see right here, all the other Bibles, different instances where it is, but everybody knows I like the King James. Okay. Now, the one place where it really matters as to what it means by work. I mean, it's a simple 4-letter word, and if you can't understand the concept within its usage, well, I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to help you. But here's the thing. Right here is where it says, once saved, always saved, is not permission to sin. Period. What does it mean to work? Besides a 9-to-5 job. Right? This is like my most feared verse in the entire Bible. Okay? And it should be every Christian's most feared verse. Because if you take it in context of what it's written in, let's see, go back. No. If you take it in context of what it is written, how it is written, and everything, and then I will profess unto them, actually, okay, hang on. Hang it 1 second. And I will bring up my eSword Bible, Matthew 7. All right. Right there. Okay. Here we go. Oh, come on. All right. It doesn't want to do it, so let me just read it. Matthew 7:21. Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name, and in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works? And then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. So, all right, I've said, okay, you guys can unmute Faithful, Ghost.
Hi,
Hey, Ghost.
how are you?
I'm doing okay. I just a little bit of conflict within the church. Okay, you got an echo or
Oh, I have to mute for a little.
oh, you don't have to mute. I think I was hearing your TV or something.
Yeah.
Okay. How
Well,
you
how you
doing?
been?
What?
How you been?
I've been all right. I had to address a couple of issues within ministry.
I'm
I,
sorry, David. I'm just getting back in here. I went to push the
Uh,
unmute button and got out of the room.
no big deal. Um, I don't know if
And
you were watching or anything while I was
I
rambling.
got, well, no, you weren't rambling. I got in just a few minutes ago. I think I sent you a text message and said I was going to just listen in. I'm staying with grandkids right now,
Okay.
and but they're upstairs, and I didn't know who would be in the room, what would be going on. And so
Okay.
I just got in a few minutes ago, but I I really do want to listen to the rest of it. What I heard was phenomenal.
Okay. Could you hold on?
Sure,
Maybe talk to Ghost for about 2 minutes. I have to recycle some coffee.
I get you. Go
All right.
recycle.
All right. Hang on.
Hi, Logan.
hi.
I I just now saw this because I'm with family. We went out to breakfast and stuff, or brunch and stuff like that, and I was just seeing that, and I when I pulled up YouTube and everything, I it said Chuck was live, and it's kind of like, oh, but that was from last night. So I'm just was kind of confused when I sent you the message. I also sent it to Chuck. I was hoping he would join in because I actually sent him the connection to the live stream last night. So maybe he's busy today. But I'm glad you made it.
Stump's having a show today.
I know he is. It's later today, isn't it?
All right, I'm back.
Okay. He, Logan was just telling me that Stump's having a show later today, and I explained to him that I'm with company or over visiting family. And but right now they're all upstairs and taking a nap, and that's I kind of came down
Okay.
here to read a little bit. But David, what I did hear you talk about, I want to go back and listen to, so please leave it up. I think the parts that I heard were very good. If you had listened to, I wasn't going to get into Chuck's live last night because I got in a little bit before he went live with Logan just to say hi and do some one-on-one talk time when it wasn't, online.
Well, I wasn't on last night with Chuck,
Yeah,
but within our group of people, there's
yeah,
some pretty hostile conflict, and I
uh-huh.
tried resolving it one on one, and basically was accused of taking sides and stuff like that. And I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, well then fine. And I looked up everything that I needed to say and everything else in the chat box. I'm leaving this video up. Okay.
please. Yes,
In
because
the
what I
chat
heard
box,
was
I have
good.
all the links to everything that I was saying and everything.
You mean on YouTube?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
I have it, it. I haven't even looked on YouTube to see if it's there. Yeah, I
Oh,
have
I went
all
to
the links
YouTube
there.
and I saw a bunch of links, so I wasn't sure what they were.
Yep. Um, that's what they are. Yeah, because I'm not seeing anybody's chat. But
I didn't see any chat, and now because you are live, I'm just going to say something, and you're going to understand what I'm meaning. You text me and said that you hoped that I could invite somebody to come in. It was a little bit late to even try to do that. When you said that, I understood probably what it was that you wanted to talk about. Okay, so
okay.
I really, really get that. Um,
Well, I there's some things that I want him to hear.
that's right. That's what I meant. I
Well,
understand that there are things people do need to hear,
well,
and
I still didn't say them.
you didn't get a chance to say them yet.
No, I didn't say exactly. I said what I wanted to say without interruption, but there
Uh-huh,
is something that I would like this person to hear.
directly. And I will tell you, I know that you're and I don't mean this disrespectful, but I know that you're fairly new in especially doing this and new in reaching out and so forth. I don't know how long you've been with him, but from experience, I found that when you don't get the opportunity the first time, if you will wait patiently, eventually Jesus will open that opportunity again. Do you remember? I think it was a couple weeks ago on a Sunday, and I can't find the link for it, and I've asked Chuck to find it for me. You and myself and one other person were in a conversation for quite a long time, and I think you remember that one. And I could not find it. Maybe you know where it is.
I think he deleted it.
All right. Well, I
But
asked him.
I know what you mean, but can I
Uh-huh.
say something?
Sure, please.
That okay. Um, and I hope next time you talk to him that you send him the link for this video so he knows there's something in it for him.
I
Um,
will.
but
Is that
any
something that we can discuss not live, but in messen through
no
voice on Messenger? And there's a
no this
reason
this
for it?
is something that I can discuss live, and I have to because there's other people involved that came down hard on him about it. Okay, now in their defense, without coming down the way they were, um, I'd like to ask him, when did Judas Iscariot become a thief? Was it before or after he followed Jesus?
Hmm.
And if he would have totally repented from that, would he have betrayed Jesus? Okay. In other words, yeah, he was following Jesus. He was quote unquote saved, but he wasn't saved when it really mattered because he was still a thief and he still did what he needed to do. Why? Because he had that sin in his life and that opened the door for Satan to come in
Hmm.
to do what needed to be done.
Well,
Okay.
I will send him a text message. He and I really do not communicate outside of the group. I've got his telephone number, and we've talked, I think, on the phone briefly twice. And don't text message. Stephen is
Okay.
uh, closer with him. Actually, Chuck probably is, uh, um, among the people that you're closer to. I do have his phone number. I would be glad to pass that information along and send the link and tell him that you requested that he listen to it. Um, and so, I'll be glad to do that. Um,
Ghost, to answer your question in the private chat and everything, I'm not going to put this person out on the clothesline. Okay. He'll know who
Good.
he is. And that
Okay.
pretty much goes for anybody that thinks, oh, I am saved, therefore I can go ahead and sin.
I think Ghost really knows who the person is, and I don't know if you know Ghost very well. He's quite a unique individual, and he and I have gotten to be very close. He's very close with Chuck. He's just a really, really good guy. So, uh, Ghost, I'm just going to tell you, read between the lines. You've already got it. So, uh, David, I think what you said is something that really ought to be shared. Once I listen to it, I'm going to probably share it on my Facebook page if it has the context that I think it does. Not that I have a lot of people that watch my Facebook page, just because of the fact if what I heard you say is carried out through the whole thing, it's it's worthy of posting there for somebody else to look at. And you never
Well,
know how Jesus might use it.
there's a couple people that should actually pay attention to what I said and everything. And I'm not about hanging anybody out to dry.
I
Okay.
know that. I
And
really know that.
you know, I hope and pray that said people are are gonna actually listen to me. I mean, I tried doing this one on one, and it turned into a internet
Less than
cat
favorable.
fight, an internet cat fight, and I'm like, okay, I'm not doing this. So
Uh-huh.
I I went online and I looked up what I needed to say,
Good,
and I read it, anything that I read from, I uh, I posted the links to.
good. And
So
and I'm going to tell you that Um, I, I, I realize that anything that you might be saying is addressed to not just one person. There is a whole, there's a whole spirit of people that are a whole group of people, not spirit, but there's a whole group of people that are new, and they are impatient with one another, and that they need to learn and make and hear what you, and I'm going to say probably said, because I've not heard the whole thing yet. So I just from listening to, having talked to people over the past 5 years, and recently, I've noticed it more and more prevalent that a lot of people are not interested so much in focusing on the main thing. They're focusing on the minor things, and also they are not really listening to individuals. What they are doing is waiting until it's their turn to talk so that they can make their point. And I don't know if you and I are saying the same thing, but it may be possible. And so, therefore, people are not um, coming together and having discussions. They're having arguments, heated debates.
Well,
And
you go to
that's not just an immediate group of people. That is uh, kind of where what I've seen over the last 6 years.
well, I'm just talking about within our group of
Okay.
people within the last uh week or two.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I mean, where all of a sudden my YouTube feed was just all of a sudden was like just went totally nuclear holocaust at each other and everything, and I'm like I'm sitting back going, what the heck just happened? And I listened to their videos and everything, and I'm like, really?
Uh-huh.
So I tried to talk to one of them, and they just started blowing up at me. Oh, you're taking that person's side. I'm not taking anybody's side,
Yeah.
you know.
And
So
and
I
yeah.
I made this. I brought up this video to address how this should be resolved. And if neither one of them want to resolve it, that's on them. I'll just X them out of my ministry, and that's on them until they
Well,
come to me. Well, at least one of them comes to me. I don't even think the other one knows that I know what's going on.
you know what, David? You might, instead of Xing people out, you might do what I call timeout. And timeout is, you have children, right?
Yeah,
Have
yeah.
you ever put your kids in timeout?
No, I never timed them out.
Okay. Well, when I refer to timeout, sometimes I put kids in timeout, not some when they were younger, and that was before timeout got to be the thing, you know. You got to put them in timeout. You can't spank their butts. But I would put them in
My my
timeout, and
kids my kids learned what my knee was and what my hand was.
uh-huh,
When they needed discipline, they got discipline. And you know what? All five of my kids are productive members of society.
that's amazing. Not many parents can say that. What I was making reference to is not something where a child needs to be corrected, but where they don't understand and they need to sit down and think about their actions, and not where they needed to be punished for something they did wrong. Maybe their attitude's just not right and they needed to sit down. Now I'm speaking from a different perspective. They needed to sit down and have time to think and to analyze why they did that, because you put them in timeout and you say, just go sit in the corner for a while. And by sitting in the corner, that gives them time to think about, what did I do wrong and why am I going through this?
Well, here
So that
here's the
what
thing. Here's the thing, and you did make bring up a good example and everything, and it's not that I'm gonna like click ignore on them and totally ban them from anything of mine or anything like that.
good.
When it came to disciplining my kids, yeah, they got. couple smacks on the rear end, and they
Sure.
got grounded. But before they got ungrounded, okay, if they were apologizing for what they did wrong, it wasn't, sorry wasn't good enough. Okay. Not only do you have to say sorry, but you have to explain to me what you did wrong. If you don't understand what you did wrong, then what are you sorry for?
Mm-hmm.
You,
Exactly.
you can't apologize for something that you don't even know what you did wrong,
Exactly.
you know? So, I mean, I don't want an apology from the certain person. I don't want an apology from her. I want her to see the error of her ways. Well, I used a pronoun and I didn't want to, but I want
That's
her.
all right because you could have used her instead of him, just to say her instead of him.
No,
I
the
didn't
the
take it
person will
personal.
know exactly who I'm talking about when they listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways,
Well,
I went to the Bible
uh-huh.
to explain my case. And because I'm going to the Bible to explain my case, I am right. Okay. This person went to the atheist to get the pat on the back. Okay. To me,
Okay.
I mean, like I said before, that's like, going, oh, Satan, I'm glad you agree with me. At least somebody's on my side.
Well, see, it's a good thing I'm absolutely clueless as to what you might be talking about, and maybe that's a good thing. And if it is me, I'm going to do do
No, it ain't you.
benevolence of that. Well, even if it was, one of the things that in referencing timeout, one of the things that I find is that when I do put people in timeout, and timeout for me with individuals is I step aside from them, much what you're talking about doing, not Xing them out, not but stepping away from them and waiting to give Jesus a chance to work things out and see if later the dialogue might be better, maybe their attitude might change, and maybe we might be more tolerant of them. Over
Okay.
the over the 5 decades that I've walked with Jesus, and many of them have been in some form of ministry, I've really begun to understand, especially in the last 10 years, with the uh, frame of spiritual mindset that the world is in right now, that a lot of people say and do things that they really don't realize that what they're doing. When Jesus was on the cross and he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do, until I really positively know for sure that, this is me now, not you, until I'm positively sure that somebody knows that, and I'll use an example, knows that they're sowing discord, or knows that they're saying hateful, mean things about somebody out in the open, or whatever it is, until I know for sure that they know that that is exactly what they're doing, I wait and I wait and I wait, and I'm patient with them now. I wasn't always. There was a time when I'd say, huh, they're not listening, da da da, and it's kind of like they don't know what they're doing, and you know, they're doing this and this, and I've come to realize that not everybody, but some people are saying and doing things, and they don't really realize what it is that they're doing. And it takes Jesus opening their understanding to see that. Now, I mentioned Chuck's broadcast last night. I'm with family. I'm taking a weekend really supposedly away from all of this, but it's just not happening. But it is happening on a small scale. And that's why I came in. Uh, that uh, Last night there was an individual, and if you watch maybe the last half hour, 45 minutes, not the whole 3 hours, there was an individual from another country come in. There
I
was
know.
already one gentleman in there from another country. This was the second individual. And before he got into the group, uh, Chuck said, before I've got to do some housekeeping before I let this person in, I've got to give them some guidelines. And so he laid out exactly what he expected. And when you get to that part, that will be what I'm referencing. He laid out how to conduct himself. The next little bit that transpired kind of reminds me a little bit about what you're talking about. And that is one of the reasons I think that I was just drawn to go into that and listen to that conversation because I did join in. And I, I'm going. I'm not going to comment on it. I will just let you watch. Chuck was in on it after everything was said and done, and it was just Chuck and myself and Gangster. I told him, I said, if I was out of line in anything I said or did, let me know and we'll talk about that right now because I don't want to overstep. This is your channel and I don't need to jump in and take over. Chuck and I are have got a good relationship. Are we chummy buddies? Do we talk all the time? And no, we don't. Very seldom. I don't think we have talked on the phone for well over a year and have just recently started communicating a little bit on Messenger and uh, possibly text. He said he texted me and I it didn't go through. And I noticed when I put his telephone number, I got a new phone. When I put his number back in my phone, there was a block on that number because the person that did all the transfers and everything uh, set it up for me, and I unblocked it so he and I could communicate. We have yet to have a telephone conversation, and hopefully this week we will. So I I think if you might watch what happened, because what happened during that last little bit when he had that other guest in from another country, what happened during that time might answer a few of your concerns. I believe that Jesus might in fact not might, I believe personally that he is already working out some of the concerns and it's concerns that I've had and concerns that obviously you've got. And also I I I I just I just really believe that you've taken this to him and said, Jesus, something's got to be done. And sometimes he does things that we don't know about. And unless you get a chance to see it, you might not know. So I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying, why don't you watch it and ask him if this is something that he's maybe working out and what you've just recently contributed in this broadcast and in this live stream and your thoughts and everything, if they don't all coincide and it's all part of his his plan.
Well, the
So
way,
and I just share that with you.
okay,
Uh,
well, the
David,
way, what?
the heart guy's here.
Um, oh, hang on.
Thank you. See how good Gigi is. He just
Oh,
pays
thank
attention to it.
No,
How about that?
he was, I couldn't see the window underneath my
Okay.
scroll.
Oh, well, that's okay, but he pays attention to those things and brings them out.
All right. Well, thank you.
Okay. I'm going to mute my mic and let you all talk for a minute.
Okay. Well, faithful, it,
Yeah,
I don't go out looking for conflict. Okay.
I
It
know
just
you don't.
when I see people within the body of people that I consider my church and everything arguing over um, stuff that really is basically a misunderstanding and everything. It's pointless, especially when I mean you got two people that are doing live streams cooperatively, okay, for the church. And then
Sure.
all of a sudden, the following day, they're at nuclear war with each other and they're ready to destroy each other's ministry. It's like, what the heck just happened? Who in the heck just bombed my church? You know, and I like I said, I tried dealing with it one on one, like the Bible says. They weren't having that person was not having it. So I'm dealing with it this way. They can ignore me, they can hate me, they can make 100 videos about me and what I said. I don't care. I've done my part. So it's you know you would actually, Faithful, you would actually have to look at the links that I posted, because as I was doing my reading and everything, I was posting the links from where I got them from and everything. And conflict within the church is not acceptable and counterproductive.
I
And when
agree
you
with you.
and when you have um, atheists in your chat that are siding with you against the person that you're arguing with, and you're both Christians that used to agree with each other, but the atheists all of a sudden like your side and want to attack the other person, shouldn't that like be a surefire sign that hey, Satan's agreeing with me?
I have to agree with you there. The unfortunate thing is that when you have young Christians and even old ones, even ones that have been around and from experience 20, 30, 40 years, a lot of times they don't see that because they just are not aware of it. They are not on spiritual understanding to be able to see that, and they just see it as, oh well. And other people that might have some a different spiritual insight might look at that and say, red light, big flag, boom, 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 doot. And I'm getting all these signals. Something's not right. Something's rotten in Denmark. And uh, but not everyone has got that same gift, and that's why iron sharpens iron, and it takes all of us. It takes the body helping one another to understand and to grow and to be tolerant with one another until such time as we can do exactly what you're suggesting. Come, let us reason together, and that's what you and I are doing right now. And I know that I call him Seven because it's easier for me to refer to him as Seven. I know that he's come in. If it's all right with you, I'm going to yield to him a little bit and let the two of you talk. Would that be all right?
Well,
I will stay in the room.
okay, okay.
Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello,
Hi there.
Faithful. Hello, David. Hello, Logan. I wasn't here at all, and I opened my computer and I see the live stream, and it was stuck on some Greek, and this is why I joined to see if there is something that a Greek can help with. Um, but on what you are talking about, I completely agree with what David said, and not justified conflict won't allow us to get further into studying. So there comes a point. My favorite band have one lyric that says, "It gets to a point where feelings gotta get hurt and get dirty with the people spreading the dirt." I think this covers it. I will admit that this whole thing got me too into banning people from my channel because they arrived on my channel trying to call me names, and one of them happened to be Logan. But I will admit that I have overreacted with Logan. I see in the past couple of days or a week that he is a very patient guy and he's listening, and I am going to unban this one. He's not relating to the others who only try to attack.
Okay.
Those that keep trying to attack all the time, I think we have a responsibility to try to help them as much as we can, but as long as they don't stall the ministry or try to destroy it.
Okay.
So,
Posted in chat for like about the first half hour or so. I read from those links
okay,
and
got
everything.
questions?
So when you have a chance,
And I'm opening the links. One is saying how should conflict in the church be handled. The other one, why refusing to resolve conflict hinders prayer. Okay, and what does the Bible say about conflict resolution?
right?
Very good, very good. Uh, so, is there something I can help with the Greek? Like, because I see something here which actually I see a mistranslation here. It's
Um,
not it's
this
not
is
big.
from King James, from the Blue Letter Bible for
Okay.
Matthew 7:21 through 24 or 23. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. Where Jesus says that I will confess that I have never known you,
correct,
depart from me. But those who work for iniquity, and the only thing I would like to point out here is that the exact word exactly translates to lawlessness.
correct.
Okay, iniquity is a little bit. It's not far from the truth. It's not a lost
Here,
translation, but it's the exact word is lawlessness. Okay. If you want me to help
well,
somewhere,
I'm actually going through it right now. There we
yes.
go.
Okay, I'm saying that. Iniquity, wickedness, vanity, affliction, mischief. Yes, I will point out here, though, that these are translations from the Hebrew,
Correct.
while this specific phrase comes from the Greek because it is written in Greek.
If you look down,
Okay. Yeah, I see everything here, and I think there iniquity on G3892 it says yeah, but it's not that word. So you see that iniquity has another word there saying paranomia.
right,
Uh, Okay, so if you go back to 723, Matthew 7:23, it was anomia. So nomos, as we have here, you can let me see. Okay, so you have this word anomia, and it
right,
works. It works. I'm gonna give you a very quick and easy Greek lesson. It works exactly as it works in English. When you have the letter A in front of some words, it negates the meaning.
right.
So
Opposite.
yes, so it gives you the opposite. So here the word is law. Nomia comes from nomos, which is law. And
Okay,
the exact translation, I'm not saying that a little paraphrasing is not iniquity, it is, but the exact translation should be lawlessness. So I bet that
correct.
if I go to Bible Hub, I bet there will be some Bible versions that have translated it correctly. So was it Matthew 7:23, if I'm not mistaken?
Yep.
Matthew
I
7.
I really do like the Blue Letter Bible because it gives me all the options, and then uh I can read it in context to everything else that it's saying. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes, and I believe it is very important sometimes because I don't think the KJV is innocent either. I've seen some mistakes, and I see other Bibles that are absolutely wrong on other things, absolutely wrong, that they have the correct translation. For example, here we have the ESV on the first page. It says lawlessness. The Berean says lawlessness. The Berean again says lawlessness. So why change it? If this is the exact word, why change it?
Right.
Why make it iniquity? I mean, okay, it's not far. It's not a devastating error, but it falls to a point where these ones get it better. So yeah, I'm not. I just don't like the a dogma on anything. Everything should be examined, and if it's easy, then it's not a big deal to
Yeah.
examine it. Okay.
Well, my viewpoint on that though is if you if you understand what it is saying, I
Yes, I
mean what
agree.
it's really saying instead of what you want it to say. I mean,
Exactly.
I understand in this verse I understand iniquity as meaning lawlessness and the whole everything that you're saying.
Yeah, this is not a big problem because
Yeah,
the other word which exactly translates to iniquity is paranomia, which means to be illegal, to be against, to be um not with the law.
right.
But
So
anomia, like lawlessness, is a plus law. So it's just better to use the word lawlessness. That's
right.
all. It's not
Okay.
a big deal, though. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean it's not really like you said, it's not a big deal.
Yes, but since we mentioned the iron versus iron, there are some serious problems on that verse
You mean
because
iron sharpens iron?
yes, what did I say? Sharpens. Yes.
Iron versus you said.
Oh, okay. It doesn't speak of the church there. It speaks of enemies with each other and the church. And when it's saying iron sharpens iron, it means in battle, like how you attack somebody on the battle with the sword and he defends with the sword. That actually sharpens the swords. So that is a very important distinction, and I can prove it to you first off through the words, but second through logic. You don't sharpen an iron with an iron. You use a rock.
Right.
So since I know from my Bible that the rock is Christ, that's where I sharpen my sword.
Right.
I sharpen it on the word. So, but if you have to go to battle, even with members of the church that do have a different opinion, and you have another one, that sharpens. So again, we can arrive to uh, some healthy conflict helps.
Right.
It sharpens us, but healthy. Like
Healthy,
yes,
which
it's
is
about it,
the reason for me doing this particular video because there was no health. It went from brotherhood to full blown nuclear holocaust
it
overnight.
did. He did. He did. And if somebody does watch the whole stream, I happened to join in like 10 minutes before it happened. And all it needed was one brother to get in between the two and speak to each brother and tell him what the other one was trying to say. So it immediately got fixed. But during that time, somebody did lose his patience. And then that became enough for others to start calling him names about his ministry, that he is evil. And I went to their channel. I don't want to say the pronoun. I went to their channel and I commented that now you are stepping over the line by calling somebody evil, which destroys their ministry. This creates a problem to the ministry. Losing your temper, we are all human.
Right.
And okay, yeah, and I completely agree with what you're saying. If you have a lot of atheists uh, reaffirming your position, you should start re-examining your position. I didn't see it happen, but
I,
yeah.
I tried resolving it in private with the said person, but all of a sudden I was getting attacked and I was taking sides and everything else, and it's like, you know, I'm just trying to get you to take a look at what you're doing. I'm not trying to take sides or anything. So I just looked up how to resolve conflict or conflict in the church and everything else like that, and I'm like, okay, enough is enough. I'm going to put out this fire and get a great big water hose and just spray everybody.
And you have another good weapon, which is your shield of faith, and that is your prayer, because God says that the righteous ones, when they pray, miracles happen.
Right.
So if you step back from the conflict and you pray about it and you are righteous, God knows what to do. You don't have to be accepting all the blame from all sides because you're trying to convince them. You can step back and talk to God and pray for those that you think are not listening. That's what I did too, and I have high hopes in that side. And Logan, I will admit, is improving the image that I got from him, because I got to know him from this conflict, and there were a lot of people supporting one side, and the things I heard for the other side I didn't agree with. So okay, yeah, Logan has been here, has been with Father Charles, and I also watched the first discussion he did on the test video with Father Charles. I will not say I liked it, but just as Faithful said, people have routes, different roads, and I believe Logan has at least ears. So that is very important. If you are listening to the word is changing you from within.
Here's a meme that I made, which I wish a lot of different Christians would understand the meaning behind this meme.
Amen. It reminds me of a parable that I heard from when I was going in. I don't know the word, but here in Greece we have something which is children going to a church at afternoon hours and have something like school there. Do you have a name for what I'm saying? Like school, church, school, afternoon for
No, I
children.
don't.
So anyway, there was a story that they gave us, and it was that somebody was walking with Christ on a beach, just like this image. Like I saw this image, and it reminded me of it. And the guy was telling Jesus his the things that went through in his life, and then he looked back and he looked at the steps, and he said, "Look, Jesus, on the hardest."
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
you know it.
Footsteps in the sand.
Oh, where does it come from? Because I only remember it from
It,
there.
it's a poem called Footsteps in the Sand.
Okay, I'm gonna look it up. I will continue just for Logan in case he doesn't know it. Um, so he said to Jesus that look at our steps. Uh, at the hardest times of my life, your steps were not there. I was alone. So Jesus told him that no, you were not alone. These are my steps because I was carrying you. So yeah, footsteps, footsteps on the sand, right?
Yep. Here, I'm going to post a link to.
Uh, Kurt,
Footprints in the sand poem. Yes, go ahead, Logan.
what were you talking about? I'm not sure about. I did. What did you like about Father Charles test show?
Well, I didn't like the original approach,
Oh,
but then I had to to get into another stream, so I didn't watch the whole thing, and then it became private. But later on, seeing you being around and patiently listening and observing, it makes me think twice about whether you belong where I put the rest of that group. Me personally, I will not say that Stephen acted righteously on that specific day.
Okay, wait, hang on a second. Can we refrain from
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
anybody's names?
yeah. Okay, but still, it was a hard day. It was a hard moment. The moment passed, and all that was left of that moment is people using that moment to attack the ministry. So that is wrong. But and I put those in a place called I don't care. So I've got you out of that, and I think you have ears to listen to the other side, and the other side is, as I said to BBM in the comment section yesterday in Father Chuck's channel, is that when people want to play a game of cards and somebody is only interested in tilting the table, don't blame those that want to play the cards for not opening the door again because they want to play the game of cards. So what we are trying to do is to study deeper, and that takes a little bit of believers to do. If we allow everybody who comes in and keeps calling people names, and I'm not saying you've done those, but you got a little bit caught in the fire.
Oh,
That's all. And I hope you've noticed that somebody else has unbanned you too. And I'm not sure. I think he unbanned everyone. But if I was doing this job that he's doing, I would keep atheists banned. Like last night, and by the way, my brother David, what Faithful told you to watch from last night, which was the show of Father Charles, has a lot of information inside.
Okay.
I would suggest you check it out. And then at the end, a couple of atheists joined in, and immediately they start calling people names. So, although we've done some progress, then we started defending whether we are the name that we got called. And then the other side got offended because we responded. And I am silly, and you are this, and you and this is not a Bible study.
I think I have the perfect meme up right now.
Oh, I was out because I was trying to get something. I forgot what it is. And let me see the meme. I wasn't on my picture. I'm so disciplined in my spiritual work. Nothing can get me.
That's
True.
perfect.
It is true. It is true. The vulnerable spot of pride. So I have to go for at least 10 minutes. It's my
Well,
dog
I
feeding time.
I actually have to close this down. My wife is blowing my phone up.
Oh, okay. That's what she
So,
is.
please watch the video
I will.
and
And
everything
uh,
from the beginning, and you will see what I had to say about anything and everything on the
definitely,
subject matter.
definitely, brother.
So,
David, thank you for doing this. Uh, Flesh, I'm glad that you came in, and thank you for uh, making open reconciliation known to Logan. And Logan, I believe that you received that, and I believe you received it well. I'll let you comment real quick so that everyone can go on their way and I can get back to family too. This has been an amazing conversation. I would not have missed it for the world.
Faithful, you are asking me which stream was this?
I
It was.
I,
It was.
I really have to close this down,
Okay,
people.
go, brother. Okay,
So,
see you, Faithful. I'll talk to you.
God
All
bless
right.
Bless
everybody.
All
y'all.
right. Bye,
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 Bye
everybody.
brother.
bye.
Bye, Logan.
Bye.